Hi, welcome to the first semi-final of Face Off Friday. This is a very interesting pair up because we have the first winner of Face Off Friday, Prasham Shah, and the last winner of Face Off Friday, Amisha Patil. Thank you for being a part of this, and it's a pleasure to host both of you. The topic for today is a bit controversial, but we will make sure that we deal with it like mature adults. The topic for this debate is, are caste-based reservations still necessary? Here, Prasham will be going for the topic, for the motion, and Amisha will be going against the motion. So, first of all, both of you all thoughts on the topic and thoughts as a neutral audience on this topic. What do you think? Irrespective of the debate, what do both of you think of this topic? I mean, is it still necessary to talk about it? Is it? What are your opinions? I'll throw it open to both of you.
To be honest, it is partially necessary for the people who are truly needing it. I mean, not just by basis of the caste, but financially backward, I guess. So for them, I guess the reservation should be made. But describing upon the caste, I think we need some basis to think about it, because it is a 20th century, and I don't believe in again thinking about it then.
Prashant?
So in my opinion, we are still a very long distance away from eliminating reservations as a concept, because it has been an integral part of how our society has functioned since independence. And there are a lot of reasons as to why it becomes important, which I think we can discuss at length in the debate. So looking forward to that.
I'll just throw upon the format here. You will be getting 5 minutes to speak the opening statements. Prasham will be going first. Amisha will follow. 90 seconds per rebuttal. This is not a 15-minute rebuttal that we used to have. This is a 90 minutes per rebuttal. 90 seconds per rebuttal. And yeah, you may have 5 to 6 rounds, and we may extend as and when we need. मतलब 5 rounds का rebuttal अपन कर लेंगे of 90 seconds, and if necessary, if both of you agree, then we can extend the debate by a couple of rounds. After that, concluding points, 3 minutes. Amisha goes first. 5 minutes. Amisha goes first, and then Prasham follows. And for this episode, we have a special question and answer round, which is prepared by the first finalist of the second semi-final. First semi-finalist of the next episode, Prasham Pratap, who we also have with us here. So he will be taking a special Q&A here. And we may start with the opening statements in a second. I'll give you heads up when to start. Prasham, are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1.
A very good evening, and I believe the topic, are caste-based reservations still necessary, is a very imperial and integral topic to our fabric of society. So let's first understand who the reservations are for. The OBCs, the SCs, the STs, and the EWS. OBCs were originally classified as the Shudra Varna, which had the lowest ritual status apart from being economically deprived. The scheduled castes were even below the Shudra Varna. They worked as agricultural laborers, manual scavengers, or people who operated tanneries, who washed clothes. Scheduled tribes were those who we call as a slang Adivasis, who were secluded from urbanization. And also economically weaker sections, which are still, despite the years of effort since our independence, have still lagged onto grabbing onto the economic chains. So even today, just take a look around, see who cleans your streets, see who cleans the streets you walk on, who builds the houses you stay in, who picks up the garbage from your home. There's a clear disparity between who does what and how much everyone earns. So what does this lead to if not yet another generation of economic divide? Uh, this entire uh, argument I would like to structure in four distinguished points to understand what unfair representation is. What are the reasons for that unfair representation in current times? How did these reasons come into the first place? And what happens due to unfair representation and how do we come out of that? So I hope we can address that in the rebuttal rounds. And one very, very important statistic that I would like to draw your attention, I'll be recurring back to the same metric multiple times throughout the debate. I just want to ask the opposition, what percentage of the Indian population falls into the general category? I've asked my sister, she said 70%. She guessed 70%. My father answered 60%. And it's not their fault. The image of the reservation has been so fervently demonized and misinterpreted that the image itself has become similar to injustice to the general category rather than justice to other categories, which it is not. And while we enter into the rebuttal or in the opposition speech, I would like her to answer the same question. Again, note it is a very important metric, which is the core of this entire argument. That kind of concludes my opening. Thank you.
Thank you. Amisha, if you're ready, you can start.
Yeah, sure. That was a really great opening. So, hi everyone, this is Amisha Patil and I'm going against the motion. So, since the caste reservation has been most controversial case issue and that has been going on in the country since ages, and should the government give the reservations on the basis of caste is the real question, or should they not? The question is quite simply based upon what you're trying to get answered or the complexity that gets involved. Specifically, that in the British era, the entire system was based on the changes, that the discrimination was quite rigid at that time. And simply, the Britishers made this discrimination quite strong just because to make ease in their administration process. And that has impacted us so much that that caste system has been lasted up till right now. Here is that the debate, like the people debate a lot on this question, but there is quite few solutions and sorted out on this issue. So the reservations have quite actually been affected. The reservations have quite actually been affected and changing the improving changes and improvements in the life of the SC and ST in the decreasing caste and discrimination. If I go in the flashback, I remember in my school days, I hardly remember that anyone getting this, talking about what caste and what schedule do you belong to. But once we entered into 10th standard, there was a criteria to fill upon what section do you belong to. And from that very moment, it struck me that, oh, I belong to open, oh, he belongs to OBC category, oh, belongs to SC category. And from that very moment, the discrimination started getting over. And when you started researching about it, what exactly it is, you just will get to find, oh, he will get more opportunities than me because of the reservation, even though he belongs to the same financial status which I am. So this becomes quite a status level discrimination. Even if you're studying with the same person in the school and you have been, if you have been in case you have been forward in your education from first to 10th, but afterwards it clearly gets based upon the reservation which you belong to. And I think that this is, impartial to some factor of section of the country. So I think that this is a thing which needs to be changed over here. Yeah, I guess that's it from my side.
Great. First of all, I would like to clarify one thing to the viewers that we're talking reservation only about reservation in India, and we won't be taking any global stance because we haven't experienced that. We have experienced reservation in India. I mean, everyone has. and we would be having a healthy debate over only that topic, over only that one constraint. So the rebuttal starts in 10 seconds. Prasham goes first and Amisha follows. But make sure that whenever you end your rebuttal, you end with a question so that the next person can take it on from that. 90 seconds per rebuttal. If you guys have any doubts, we can clarify right about. Okay. So, Prasham, I hope you're ready. 3, 2, 1, start.
So to address the very point that Amisha spoke in her opening statement, the opposition, we haven't faced castes until 10th grade because we live in Bombay, the most urbanized city in India. We are the cream of the social structure. Take a look at how villages function, especially those villages where Brahmins have majorities or where there is a very obvious communal and casteist divide. Let's understand what this faithful representation is. And to just one question, Amisha, you didn't bring it up, that's why I'm asking again. Is there any ballpark estimate what percentage of Indian population might the general category fall in?
Amisha, you may start.
uh,
Just a second.
I'm just asking 1 minute ka question. You can ask and then I can continue.
Yeah. To be very honest, I don't know the exact percentage of how much is the percentage of the open and like the reserved category, but I
Just an
believe
estimate.
in. Sorry,
Just a
Just an
wise
estimate.
guess.
it might be around 60%. Yeah.
See, now again, back to my original question. This particular number, the 60% perception of general category, is precisely what is wrong with our understanding of the problem statement. In India, only 30% of people fall in the general category. Only 30%. And how much reservations do they get? So the opposite of reservation is also a reservation. So how much reservation do they get in the entire structure, in the the fabric of education, jobs? It's 50%. Now, it's not as if the general category is 80% of the population and we are bringing their fair share down to 50%. It is 30%, and we are giving the other 70% chance to be in that 50%. In an utopian India, the general category should only have 30% of shares, be it in jobs, education, etc. But that obviously is not the case currently. And why is that not the case? We'll come into those reasons again. So without reservations, SCs, STs, OBCs aren't able to get that fair representation that the population numbers deserve. And this is precisely where the digression begins.
Last
So
5 seconds. Please
my
conclude your question.
my question is that such a difference in a fair representation of population, whereas the fair representation of reservations, that divide is something that needs to be addressed with. And how does the opposition address that?
Yes, Amisha, you may start.
Yes. So even though the open categories are having a 30%, the population is 30% for the OBC open category, but the question rise over here is the output which we are going to get from this reservation. Like the output tells us that how efficient this policy have been implemented in our part of the life, and on the other hand of the outcome tells us the implementation of the policies which are going on. It is easy for the government to ask for the votes on the basis of this output, and this is why the government is forcing us for having this caste reservations out as an output as the vote for them. And with that, whether the caste reservations have resulted in a larger representation of the lower caste in the colleges as well. Therefore, we will look into the outcome, whether the lower caste people are getting better job opportunities or whether have their lives improved by that, or even by that if the income has been affected by it. and this have been a caste discrimination in various parts of the country. So even if there is a 30% population which is
15 seconds.
governed by the open category, the question is, if you are participating in an exam who is having 1,000 seats vacant for the examination and 1 lakh students are applying for that, 50% is being reserved only for the caste. So the open category are only fighting for the half of the seat, and the reserve category is fighting for the other half. So and this becomes a wide range of fight which is going on in the education system, that we are uh, getting the participants based on the basis of the caste and not on the basis of the merit which they are supposed to receive. I guess, yeah, that's it from my side.
That is a very, very fair argument from the opposition. But I'd like to point out that both of them, when they start, are not at the same level playing field. Had they been of the same social stature, with the same access to opportunities, then an apple-to-apple comparison would be something that is logical. But there is the reason for disparity between population levels and reservation levels is the superposition of societal norms and the absence of a level playing field. There are certain parameters to gauge this: literacy levels, mean education levels, unemployment levels, per capita income, access to healthcare, and equal opportunities. I'm taking this data from the periodic labor force survey from 17 to 18. Only 25% of scheduled castes are able to complete diplomas or graduate degrees, as compared to 40% of that in the general category. Only 8% of the general categories are involved in elementary occupation like agriculture and labor work, whereas 22% of the scheduled tribes do so. For an average OBC with 18 years of education, his average monthly salary would be 16,000 rupees, whereas the same level of education for a general category would be 21,000 rupees. And bear in mind, this disparity is despite 80 years of efforts to neutralize this disparity by people like Dr. Ambedkar, and in 30 years of laws like reservation. If only we had the data
15
for
seconds.
1921, a century ago, this debate would not even have been a question. So do you not think that this uh, unfair representation, this lack of a level playing field, is a real concern, and that is what needs to be addressed first before we get into how much reservation is right or wrong?
Yes, Amisha, you may start.
Okay. Yes. So there was a bench of judges which was Mundal judgments, which was passed in 1992, which was which was a seat of judge of nine judges of the Supreme Court. And this also was the tenure issued where contradicts that the same details of the same problem reservation, and the caste is um, but obvious in the fact that it is called as so-called forward caste. There are members who are being deprived in this section of the caste, and those one are being restless in their country because those forward classes people are being covered in the majority of the members who have been having a good lifestyle, but many of the forward classes members are also being hidden in the not so financially strong members, but because the other factor of the forward classes section are being moving ahead, they are being assuming that they are also being covered in that community and had been taken care of, which is not so. And there is no way forward in this case and ensures that only because you are forward, that means that every member of the community is forward, is somewhere wrong, I think. And this is the reason, which is the main problem
15
in
seconds.
today's world and every state, that has been grown so much and has been affected the reservations. And this is, according to me, the core issue. And if you do not address this core issue, this problem is going to bound to escalate in every situation of our life. So my question here is that even if the forward caste members are in this majority, but there are some people who are in a financially lower background. Don't they need to get in a representation which can help them escalate in their financial issues as well because of the caste reservation, which can help them to do that, and not on the basis of the caste reservation.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
I'm saying that even if the forward classes, I mean the open category, are being not being categorized in the creamy layer, they are falling apart. I mean they are not being, because they are not having a lower caste reservation over there. They have been falling apart. So how can their financial status be increased if the reservations are only based upon the caste and not the financial status as well?
So it is basic capitalism principles that in every economy, some people will progress faster than others because of inherent reasons like hard work, capacity to take risk. That does not mean that the entire population is stagnant, right? And coming to the same issue, why is this divide being created? So it is not a issue of the last 20 years or last 80 years. This has been happening for the past 1,000 years. Let's look at the root of the problem. It lies in the Hindu caste system and its stratification as a result. So we've all heard of Eklavya, who was probably a better archer than Arjuna, but was denied education by Dronacharya because of his caste, and even asked to chop off his thumb as Guru Dakshina. The right to own property has been systematically denied to Harijans. Landlessness, encompassing a lack of access to land, and forced evictions contributes to a crucial element in the subordination of Harijans. Something as basic as religion was denied to Harijans, which is why 89% of SCs are Buddhists. They adopt Buddhism after the Ambedkar wave. The growth of upper castes at the expense of deprivation of opportunities, jobs, education, religion to an entire section of population, generation after generation, for hundreds of years, is the cause of this disparity. To put it in context, let's take a very simple example. Take any amount at 10% growth rate compounded versus a 5% growth rate compounded over 40 generations. The difference arising over such a large period of time is unfathomable. So my question is the very core of this argument is a retribution is not it is not a punishment to the general category, but it is a moral retribution to the other categories. This is not a topic about our joint futures. It is the key difference between opportunity and reservation, which is what we need to realize. So yeah, you can.
Okay, Amisha, you may start.
Can you repeat the question you asked?
Mute.
Muted.
So the entire premise of this rebuttal was that over generation after generation, this divide has been systematically created in our society. How do we address that without reservations or without fair reservations? Because reservations give the other castes an opportunity to come back to the same level playing field that we, as in the upper castes, have snatched and taken away from them and their ancestors.
Okay. So this question is quite wide, I mean, to answer, because you need a strong debate upon it. But to point some of the points over here, I would like to give a fact which was going upon, which was in the Rajasthani, where the Jat community was having an opposition going on with the court, which was like in around 2014 or 16. I don't remember, but it was there going on. So the Jat community basically went to the Supreme Court to give them the status of being the reserved category. But basically, you know that the Jat community has been like royals from the past as well. But still, they were actually trying to get that status to as a reserved category. So the judge asked them to give a specific proof of you getting in the reservation. So they were not able to give that. Like if it is 2 plus 2, 4, they were showing it 2 plus 2, 6. So they were actually trying to escalate their problem. So the point over here is even the participation in the politics in the education and in the overall generation in the reserved category are those people who are actually having a good financial status. I mean, the people who are living in really good because of the caste reservation, they have getting many benefits in their life, and because of that, they have been raised by their economical issues, and those are the people who are participating in the higher education and status. But of that community as well, there are people who are really in a backward stage and who are not being recognized because of their society, because of their location people who are having a greater status. So this is a point which is need to be
10
highlighted,
seconds more.
that even if the lower caste member is having a good financial status and he is trying to acquire the reservation solutions which they have been given by the government, so the benefit which is supposed to be given to the real person who is needed is not being covered because of this. So I think this is my issue, that the same caste which is being degraded by the people who are by the above caste. So how can you escalate their problems if your basis is on the
Before Prasham starts, this is the last round of debate.
Can we
So,
extend it?
if both of you agree, Amisha, do you
we can
mind
go for one
extending?
more round.
Okay, so one name we'll go for three minimum rounds so that we can, at least we can come to a conclusion in this topic, but we will, be as close to a conclusion as we can. So three last rounds after this round, the total four last rounds. So yeah, Prasham, you can
So,
start.
so the point that Amisha raised is very valid. That probably someone who's deserving and is a fair candidate is deprived out of his rightful position. But let me just look onto some figures and some facts. Let's look at reservations in Maharashtra versus the populations in Maharashtra. The reservations in Maharashtra for general category are 38%. The population of general category is 34%. The reservations for STs are 7%. The population is 9%. For OBCs, the reservations are 32%. For OBCs, the population are 48%. So at any point of time in this entire chain, we are not depriving any particular uh, community of the fair representation. At the very least, they are getting what the population deserves. So our entire point about not giving the fair person, the person who deserves a chance, is invalid because we are giving it to them. Had it been an ideal world, everyone would have same access to opportunities, but it is not, and that is precisely what we need to fix. So even today, most of Harijans, STs don't have lands, tools, businesses, educations, jobs, and we are here to talk about equal opportunities. How does that work? At its core, reservations are attempts to bridge this unfair representation, which was caused over generations ago. We have to realize that reservations are not punishment to the general category, but an attempt to level the playing field. Had the population share been for the general category been greater than reservation levels, it could have been called punitive, but that is
15
not
seconds.
the case. So again, there might be few unworthy people who enjoy at the expense of the worthy, but that is the price to pay for centuries of wrongdoings upon the society upon them by the society. So do you not think that this uh, fraction of population that is suffering today because of the uh, generations of how do I put it,
Misery.
misery that has been caused upon and to an entire section, is it not valid to give the other section a chance?
Yes, Amisha, you may start.
Yes. So here again, I would like to give a real life problem which is going on, that even if that there is reservation for a certain section, and the participation of this lower caste have also been somehow increased. But even if we are giving them the reservations, the mindset of the people is what I think we need to change, because there was a practical example in Tamil Nadu who was which happened in past like 2 years before, where in Tamil Nadu the ST category president who was like the caste president who was there, she was having some war going on and she was being arrested by the police, and as she belonged to the ST category, she was being made to sit down on the floor rather than on the benches. I mean, this was the mindset of the police itself over there. So even if you're giving reservations, even if their participation is increasing in the overall the community, the mindset is, I think, which needs to be changed very eagerly. By that only it could affect the major lives, because having giving the reservations to every certain person of the section will definitely keep, this is a infinity loop. I mean, it will keep on going, but they are getting the reservations, I'm not getting the reservations. This will keep on going, and to stop this we need to change the mindset of the people, and these reservations should only be based on the basis of the finance and on the basis of their merits. Because even you try how much you want to, but if the mindset do not change, this cycle is going to keep on continuing. Because even if there are the people who are
15 seconds.
in the lower, who belong to the lower caste and having a luxurious life, but they are also harassing the people who are in the below caste, specifically in the areas of Bihar and Haryana. So yes, even if you're giving them the reservations, and if their mindset do not change, and this cycle will keep on happening throughout the upcoming years. So my question here over is that, does this caste reservations really help the people of the backward class, even if they have been gone through the past decade crisis situation? But right now, do you think that this caste situation is really helping them to change their mindset, which is the key solution for this?
It definitely does, right? Let me put it this way. Where does this mindset originate from? The mindset originates from the perception that they are poor, they do not have rights, they do not have intelligence. And how do we bridge that? How do we bridge they not being poor? How do we bridge not being intelligent? We give them jobs, we give them right to access to education. That is how we bridge this entire gap. So the entire point that you just said, we have to mend the mindset. This is a step to mend the mindset. Now, what the problem, if we believe that caste-based discrimination is not prevalent today, it is completely wrong. Caste-based discrimination exists today. 27% of Indian households still practice untouchability. 52% of Brahmins practice untouchability. Only five.
Can Amay mute himself?
Yes, like the important.
Only
If any questions,
5.4% of
you
Indian,
can send it to me and I'll ask. Sorry, go.
only 5.4% of Indian marriages are intercaste, and more than 160 million people in India are considered as untouchables. So it is completely wrong that the problem does not exist, or the mindset is not there. It is there, and to change the entire mindset is the entire proposition of reservation. So would you want an India whose growth is limited to 30% of the population, or would it be better if all of India grew? If we are still stuck in this small-minded rut, then how are we any better than our ancestors who practiced untouchability? It is a chance to mend the wrong and give opportunity to 130 crore people, and not just the 30% general category. This won't happen overnight, like
15
you
seconds.
rightly pointed out. But in the foreseeable future, that is the India I dream to live in. A land where every Indian, irrespective of where they are born, to what families they are born, they get equal opportunities to grow. And your my entire point again comes to this, that reservations are the way to mend the gap that we see today, and they're essential to the fabric till the point both general category and the backward castes are up to the same playing level. Till that is not the case, I will forever be as the proposition to the motion, are caste-based reservations still needed?
Yes, Amisha, you may start.
Okay. So my point over here is clearly there is no need of caste reservations because we are targeting a group of particular section, but not the individual which is in need. Because what's happening in today's life is that the new pattern of development or the lack of that is affecting that, and the lack of that has been affected us from the past 20 years have raised the have raised the expectations, but not done a very little has been affected in their employment generation, and that is what a very little actual economical mobility, which was originally promised by the globalization of the economy, and so the gap, especially uh, especially the has been left behind in the scenario because of this domain. And these groups have been feeling gap because of the escaping, because the globalization has been not fulfilling their needs which they have been expected to be given. Their frustration has been the frustration of this economical system has been, bashed out in the form of these reservations which they are demanding. And as their financially and the globalization which has promised them to given a good lifestyle has been not been completed, which have prevented and not brought to the growth which have been expected for, they are seeking the easy route of expecting for the reservation. And these
Second,
reservations so is a single policy. The reservation is a single policy. It's been used to address many different needs or many different objectives, and that cannot be succeeded in this form of the part which we are asking for. So by taking this the easy route by asking for the reservations is not going to overcome the globalization and the economical factors which have been promised from past 20 years.
this is the last round of debate. There are no further extensions. So we'll make it a 2.5 minute rebuttal so that you may keep your point in the best way forward. So, Prasham, you may start.
Is this the conclusion?
No. This is a rebuttal, but this is a 2 minute rebuttal. Abhi tak, it was 1 minute 40 seconds, 1 minute 30 seconds. So this is a proper 2 minute 15 seconds ka rebuttal round where Prasham will ask you a question and you will answer it, and there will be no further rebuttals after this one. So yeah, Prasham.
So the opposition pointed out that reservations have probably not been able to fulfill as much as they have promised. I just like to ask the opposition, do they have any data to prove it? It is very easy to sit in a AC in a room with air conditioner on your fourth story building and say this. But being part of a family who has faced, I'm talking from the point of view of someone who uh, who faces discrimination, who is economically backward and deserves the reservation. It is impossible and wrong to say that reservations have not had any effect. So coming back to her, can you just remind me what the second half of your talk was?
Sorry,
Amisha, can you just remind me what the second half of your
argument
rebuttal
was.
was?
Yes, so I was telling that it is giving an easy route for the reservation.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So it is not at all giving out an easy route, right? Imagine you having zero money to start with, and imagine you having 1 crore rupees to start with. Is giving a 5 lakh rupee interest-free loan an easy way out? No, it is not. No, it is not. For someone who has very little opportunities, very little to start with, reservations are not an easy way out. It is just an attempt to bridge the gap, right? You see in this poster right here, a person who has the benefits of their financials, their educations, their castes, they have the easier field, and not the person who has been struggling day and night as a wage worker to earn bread to feed his family. So if that is the perception of our opposition, I beg to differ. It is completely wrong. The capitalism based argument about growth that we claim to make is based on the expense of other people. How many Brahmins used to clean the streets and how many Harijans ran giant businesses? If they are supposed to grow equally, then how does capitalism claim stand if their base has been misaligned for the last 1,000 years? Article 15 and 16 of the Indian Constitution are the backbone of reservations of India. Just because a person born in a backward class in today's time does not mean he has lesser rights or lesser opportunities. And we owe it to the generations before him for this toppled up demographics. So I'd like to finally conclude that we owe the reservations as a retribution to our past, not the current scenario. I again repeat, we owe the reservations as a retribution to the past and not the current scenarios.
Prasham, sorry to interrupt, but you will have to
We had 2.5
repeat.
minutes.
Yeah, you have. No. I was saying you will have to repeat a certain section of your question as Amisha lost her internet and is now back.
Acha.
So, thoda sa repeat kar de so that she is back into the flow. Amisha.
So sorry, my internet crashed. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when did you leave? Matlab, till when did you hear this question?
No, it is not. No, it is not.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
you can start.
Yeah, no, it is not a boon for the general category, but it is a tool to get the level playing fields. So I'm not really sure where I was, but
okay,
yeah, I
I
think
will
you
take it ahead
can
from
take
there.
ahead.
Yeah. So
Okay.
again, can I go?
Yeah.
So again, I would like to repeat that this again comes to the point which I pointed out, that this should not be based on the circle base, but it should be based on the need. I mean, if a person is not getting the opportunities, then that should be the person who is supposed to get the reservation, no matter from which caste they belong. But if they have to start from scratch, if they have to build their empire by their own, then they are the ones who are supposed to get the reservation, and not on the basis of the caste. Even if the lower caste person is having issues and having backwardness, they should be given reservation. But if the same person of the lower caste is having a luxurious life, should be removed from that caste reservation and should be given an opportunity for fighting his fight on his own and not on the basis on the reservation. So this I've highlighted in my previous speeches as well, but this is the point which is again keeping on revolving it. So yes.
You guys can have a minute and write your closing statements, but just make sure that no new points are included in the closing statement. And Amisha goes first this time, and Prasham follows. After that, I have a question from the audience, and after that, Prasham Pratap, the semi-finalist, will join and ask some questions to you guys. So, 1 minute starts. Even if anyone has any more questions, then please send it to me so that I can put it up right now. Right. We can start with the closing statements if Amisha is ready.
Yes. So, in my opinion, the biggest tragedy that happens with such demands is to begin with the discredit that the very idea of the reservation and the idea of completely scrapping, but completely scrapping can also be turned into a partial scrapping, which can be transformed in an economical or on the basis or on the personal basis of a person. In that it should be credited. The reservation is completely missing the original intention, and which is to address the social discrimination, and not just the discrimination, but the discrimination to point the exclusion of the right. So, in order to become a modern nation. Thank you.
Prasham, you may start.
How much time do we have for the closing statement?
You have the 5 minutes, but मतलब
ठीक है.
5 लेना है, 5
Only
लेना.
points.
Yeah.
Understood. ठीक है. So coming back to the first point that mentioned in my opening statement, the image of reservation has been so fervently demonized and misinterpreted that its image has become similar to injustice for the general category, which it is not. It is attempt to bridge the gap between the divide. I had also mentioned that an average OBC with 18 years of education earns mere 16,000 as his average monthly salary, whereas the same level of education, same degree, and same similar educations for a general category, the pay grade is 21,000. I can give you the links for the same if you request. And we heard of how discrimination is not a thing of the last 50 years, but it has been coming from the last 1,000 years. We've heard stories from for that of Eklavya, or how people were denied access to something as basic and integral to the social fabric as religion. Very simply put, a 10% growth rate compounded over 40 generations will be 100 times larger than that of 5% growth rate compounded over 40 generations. And this divide in the growth rates is precisely where the problem starts and what is wrong with the Indian system. So we have not firsthand faced the effects of this entire divide, or we haven't really seen what reservations are actually for, because we live in Mumbai, the most urbanized city, as the cream of the social structure. But again, we are not even in the 0.1% of the social structure. There is an entire 68% other sections who are to be considered when we talk about this section. The day all of us, as in all participants in the social structure, have equal opportunities, I would be the first person to talk about the redundancy of reservations. But unfortunately, we are not still there yet. When we talk about reservations based on financial categories, if we draw a Venn diagram as to the financial backward castes and the financial backward people and the castes, it more or less becomes and comes out to be similar. And that is precisely why EWS reservations have been introduced in states like Maharashtra. Reeling back to the Article 15 and 16 of Indian Constitution, it is integral for all Indians to have equal opportunities. And if they have been denied that equal opportunity, not just today, but at any time in the past, it is our moral duty and it is our moral responsibility to fix that. That is what reservations do, and not as a punitive measure, and it is not a punitive measure to the general category. So I hope I've covered as many points as I could have. Thank you. This has been a very amazing debate, and the opposition has come up with very, very good points. So thank you, and I rest my case. And I believe, and that is precisely why I believe reservations are still necessary. They are not redundant, and there is a long way to go before we can reach there. Thank you.
Great. This has been a wonderful debate, and I mean, I cannot remember any debate that has lived up to this level. And I'm not being biased here because I mean, viewers might know that I am biased because I know both of them. But that's the only reason why this is not biased. And this has been a wonderful debate. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of such a crucial debate. And yeah, now moving on to the question answer section, I have a question from an audience member. I won't name who. The question is to Prasham Shah. The proposition. You may choose to answer or not to, but it's my job to put forward the question. So the question is, someone unmuted. Oh, good. Yeah, the question is the aim behind introducing reservations was primarily to eradicate the inequality, to change the mindset towards castes. But after almost 70 years, that doesn't seem to have happened. We still see so many crimes and injustice against these castes. So how can we say that reservations are actually helping? Prasham, you may take over whenever
Okay, fair enough.
You're ready.
So this is a very valid question, and I think this is a fact that reservations were not introduced as a measure to change mindsets. It was introduced to give a level playing field for both the social structures. As far as changing mindsets is concerned, it is not the job of reservations to do that, because reservations are in no form equipped to change mindsets. How it will happen is through public policy, is through the people understanding this at a very grassroots level. Like I showed in one of the statistics that I had mentioned, let me just fetch that. 27% of Indian households. Now, reservations are in no way equipped. It is not their job to. Reservations were introduced to bridge this gap. Now, where does this concept, or where does this idea of they not being as good as you come from? Their lack of education, their lack of opportunities, the equal opportunities, their lack of incomes. That is what is to be fixed. And once I think both you and you, as in the general category and other categories, are on the same level playing field in all these three positions, there will not, by definition, there will not be any mindset problem that we claim to be, because both are of the same social strata, and that same social strata is what the reservations are all about.
Great. Now introducing to everyone, and I have he will be heading the question answer section of this debate. Oh, not only because he's a dear friend, but also because he has been in this field for a very long. He has been debating since a very long, and also he's the the semi-finalist of the second semi-final, which will be happening on Friday on our Instagram live. So please give a virtual high five to Prasham Pratap, and I request Prasham to join us. And yeah, hi, welcome Prasham. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you very much. To add to that introduction, I'm also a very good friend of both of these people who had an amazing debate today. I have total of 4 questions. One is for Amisha, 3 are for Prasham. I'll go with Amisha's question first. So Amisha, you basically the point was that there should not be any caste reservations in this country. Okay, so my point is the
It should be
constitution promises
partially, I mean.
Let him complete the question first.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
the constitution promises reservation under the pretext of creating equality for everyone in this country. Okay, so first of all, are you suggesting a major amendment in the constitution, and if so, then what will you replace that verbatim with?
Okay. So
Yeah,
basically, our constitution was having a period of 10 years of reservation, but that has been extended to an infinity time, like up till right now. So the main factor of B.R. Ambedkar was to change, to bring equality in both the caste and reservations, but that has not been achieved right now. So I think there should be some changes to achieve that target which was proposed before in the constitution. And because the target has not been achieved, there should be certain changes in the constitution, which I would like to repeat again, that the caste reservations should be present, but partially on the basis on the financial stability and on the pure backwardness of the person, and not as a group of the backward class, but as an individual on the individual basis. And that is a thing which will, achieve the target which was of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and that will purely bring the country together, and we would not be, kept in that infinity loop of giving reservations to every single group of the country. Because, yeah, I guess that's it from my side.
cross question is allowed. So, Prasham, if you have any to add to that, you may.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll go with my questions for Prasham. Okay, so according to Prasham, 30% of our population is in general category and 50% of reservation is given for them. Okay. So then why are the seats always full? अगर 30% ही जनरल कैटेगरी है और 50% रिजर्वेशन है तो बाकी की 20% सीट तो खाली रहनी चाहिए. And also, if you are from an SC, ST or OBC category, no one is stopping you from enrolling into a general category. If you have the confidence that I can match up to those guys and go into that college or that job or that school with these kind of marks that I'm scoring, why not fight it fair and square?
True, very true, Prasham. So in an ideal India, the India of my dreams, so-called, everyone would have same access to opportunities. Even the Harijans, even the general category. In that scenario, if we compare that 30% of the population should get equivalent number of seats, 30% seats, then it would be a fair representation. But unfortunately, throughout the mishaps of generations after generations, this ideal India is no longer a reality. The reality is that the general category is more privileged when it comes to jobs, education, incomes, and that is what is causing this gap of 20%. You're right. Probably if there are no reservations, probably 70% of the seats might be filled up by general categories. Does this mean that the rest 70% of the population, the other castes, are dumb and not worthy of the seats? No, it does not. Why it does not? Because this is not because they haven't started with a plain level playing field. There has been disparity from where they start.
Okay, I'll just combine my other two questions, which will also form a follow-up to this question. Okay, they are not starting from a level playing field. The major factor behind this is that they are economically not self-sufficient or that much sufficient. Okay, financially strong position में नहीं है, जो general category में लोग है. So let's do one thing. I'm just suggesting this, and I want to know your views on it. Colleges में आज से from next year, let's keep the same cutoff for OBC, SC, ST and general category. कट ऑफ सेम रहेगा, रिजर्वेशन भले हो, ठीक है, रिजर्वेशन है, उतनी परसेंट सीट्स विल ऑलवेज बी रिजर्व फॉर देम, बट यू कीप द सेम कट ऑफ. यू नीड टू स्कोर दैट मच टू कम इनटू दैट कॉलेज. आफ्टर दैट, इफ यू आर फ्रॉम ओबीसी एंड यू प्रूव दैट यू आर फ्रॉम ओबीसी, यू विल बी गिवन फीस में बेनिफिट्स. Okay, because you are not financially that strong. but intellectually you are claiming that you are that strong. Show it to us.
Great.
I would like to just come up with a very spontaneous and a very apt analogy for this. Let's say you mark a spot on a wall at 7 feet height, and then there are two people who you talk to. One who has a 5.5 feet height, and another is a child who has 3 feet height. You ask both of them to jump and touch that 7 feet high mark, and you say, I've reserved 50% for both of you. Both of you will get 50% seats if both of you are deserving enough to touch that wall. Right. So it is a very plain and simple analogy, which I think covers the essence of what the question that you just spoke. Both of them are not equipped to reach the same levels of marks that we claim to. Right. Had that been the case, there was no question about reservations. I would be the first person to say that reservations are no longer required if both of them are 5.5 feet tall. But the plain reality is that they are not. So there was one statistic that I haven't included in my debate, but I had read upon, is that general categories on average have somewhere around 19 years of education, whereas others have somewhere around 14 years of education. I'm not really 100% accurate with the numbers because I don't have it written down. I had read it. But so don't you think this mismatch of level of education is what is causing this, right? The difference between how much you can score is not only a function of how much you have intelligence to work with, but how much resources you have to work with. Let's say there is a person whose ancestry, all of them have been doctors, MBAs, CAs, a well-educated family, and someone who has come from a labor-oriented family. There will obviously be an inherent difference in the mindsets, in the thinkings, in the income levels. That is what reservation is all about. And this analogy, the 5.5 feet versus a 3.5 feet person trying, both of them trying to touch a 7 feet mark, is what reservations are all about.
Okay, so follow up to this. Okay, 60. Say you are claiming 70% of the population is in this reserved category and 30% is in the general category. I don't ask your sources because I know, I have also seen it. Okay. The thing is कि जब हम अभी इस कैटेगरी का कट ऑफ निकालने बैठते हैं और जनरल कैटेगरी का कट ऑफ निकालने बैठते हैं, तो जनरल कैटेगरी के जो 30% लोग हैं उसका एवरेज निकाल के उसका कट ऑफ डिसाइड होता है एंड 70% लोगों का कट ऑफ अलग से डिसाइड होता है. सो यू आर सेइंग दैट 5.5 फीट को 7 फीट हो जाएगा, 3 फीट को नहीं होगा. दैट इज बिकॉज यू हैव ओनली टेकन 5.5 फीट के सारे लोग और फिर तुमने डिसाइड किया कि हाँ 7 फीट तक तो ये लोग पहुंच ही जाएंगे. बट जब तुम सारे लोग, all the 70% people who are 3.5 feet tall will be added to this number, the average will automatically fall down to somewhere around 5.5 feet. Everyone is going to reach there. So then you are also bringing down the average. ना cut off सभी का कम होगा. And first of all, अगर ये है, I have seen many examples and I cannot give you the source because those are personal experiences. I have no documented fact on it. I am sure you must have also seen it and everyone watching this must have also seen this. People from this category take their reservations for granted. They do not work hard to reach that level. We have given just a small anecdote that I would like to bring in here. We have given JEE exams. We have seen the cutoff. Okay, for us, the cutoff was somewhere around 90-95. I'm not quoting the real marks here. मैं जानबूझ के tamper कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है? If it was 90-95 for us, for SC, ST and OBC, it was somewhere around 35-40, which is less than half of what we got. So वहाँ पे it cannot be half of what we got, ना? कुछ तो होना चाहिए. If they are at 35-40 and people in that class are consistently scoring 35-40, hence the cutoff is 35-40, they are not worthy to be in IIT. As simple as that. You cannot be. What am I doing wrong by scoring 75-80 in a cutoff of 95 and the other person who has scored 40 is going and sitting in that college, but I am searching for some other college around the city or around the country. How is that fair?
Okay, great question. But I would just like to add a question that one of our audience members sent as a follow-up to their last question that I asked Prasham. If we provide reservations at UG level, then we have brought all the sections from the populations to the same level, right? Then why do we need reservations at PG or any further level? Yeah, now combined questions. Prasham, you may answer.
Okay, so first of all, the dynamics of how things will work after reservations is beyond the scope of this debate. There might be flaws that the current system is not capable enough to work with. But again, this reminds me of Shashi Tharoor's Oxford speech, "Does British owe India reparations?" It is not about how much or who will give it or who will it give to or how will it actually be done. It is the entire principle and the essence behind the point that does, so like Shashi Tharoor said, does British owe India reparations? Does the society of the backward castes, the SCs, the STs, a moral retribution? That is what the debate is about, and not the dynamics of how much reservation to give, to whom to give, to not to give. That is for the policymakers to decide. That is, even if we debate today कि ये होना चाहिए, ये नहीं होना चाहिए, it will have no real impact because we are not in a position to make policy changes, right? So the entire substance of debate again is it still necessary? Now, how much reservations, what will be the criteria, that all is secondary. That comes after accepting the fact that yes, it is necessary. So that is the first thing. Another thing, Rutu answered, I think you said, अगर सेम लेवल तक हो गया है, एक लेवल तक उनको रिजर्वेशन दिया, उसके बाद देने की क्या जरूरत है? Again, back to the statistic that I previously spoke. Other categories have approximately 14 years of education. GCs have generally 18 years of education. So isn't that self-explanatory to the point? Probably GCs, probably other categories aren't able to reach that level of education because it is not in because it doesn't run in their family lines, right? So a lot of people aren't able to achieve what they should have or what their potential is because of this divide. That is what is to be answered, and that is what is necessary to deal with at first hand. Then we can talk about who gets how much, कैसे करना चाहिए, क्या cut-offs होना चाहिए. That all is a debate for another day. And if you are ever having one, I'd be very interested to join in.
Great. Any more questions, Prasham?
Yeah. One is from Abhijit for Prasham. He says reservations in education is okay for now, but reservations in government jobs is also a big problem. Not just getting a job, but also getting promotion. To elaborate this very slightly, once you are in that reserved category and you get government jobs, it is quite prevalent in the country that जो उस कैटेगरी से आते हैं वो तुम्हारे सर पे टपली मार के तुम्हारे आगे निकल जाते हैं. You are serving that organization for let's say 5 to 10 years. A fresher who has come in just 5 years from now, 5 years, he has just completed 5 years in the organization. He'll just suddenly get a promotion and he'll be your boss. How is that fair?
Very simply put, if you think this is injustice, let me know what injustice is when we talk about a Dalit not being able to enter a place of worship. What is injustice if a Shudra is not given enough pay? What is injustice if a scheduled tribe, people from the scheduled tribes are so you are getting my point, right? If you think this is injustice, what was that back then? And it is that retribution. Abhi you might have to compromise on that level of justice, because you had this privilege, this inherent privilege of being on one leg above the other section of society, and it is that reparation there is. So promotion देने से क्या होगा? Let's look at the science behind this. Probably they get a promotion, they earn more, they have a better social stature. That is what we want to solve via reservations. That is the basic essence of why reservations have come in, to solve this problem. No? How else will you go ahead to solve the problem of a lack of income, a lack of social stature, if you do not help them come up? And see, it happens in government jobs because it is the government's moral responsibility to make sure that all of India grows. Again, I had given this statistic, given this analogy. Would you want 30% of India to grow, or would you want 100% of India to grow? How will you let that 100% of India to grow? By giving them opportunities. How do you give them opportunities? Through jobs, through educations, through promotions. So that is what my stance on this is.
Okay, so it might seem like we're only asking questions to Prasham, but right now scene ऐसा है ना कि Prasham has the harder
He
harder.
signed up for this.
Sorry.
He signed
Sorry.
up for this.
For this, and Prasham has one question, and I have one question from the questions that were asked before. So, दो questions है Prasham. If and only if you are okay with this, we would put it forward, or else we don't mind stopping right now. Whatever Prasham, the proposition agrees upon. Okay, Prasham, you may ask your final question, and then I'll go.
Okay. So now today, Rutuparna and Prasham come from the same college. I come from a college which has, both of our colleges have a minority quota for a certain sector of the society, which is called the minority in this state, but I'm not sure it is. And many are taking advantage of that. People of the same economic background as us, okay, and they are supposed to be in the general category. लेकिन ये जो होता है, this is there in almost many. There are many colleges which have this. There is Sindhi quota, there is Gujarati quota, there is Christian quota. Why do you need this? You are scoring well, you can pay that fees. Why do you need this?
So this representation is not being asked by the children. Okay, so get this. Thardomal has Sindhi quota. SIS from where Anand is, that has I'm not sure what quota it is, but it has quota. Prasham Pratap, Somaya has quota. NMIMS on the other hand is private, it does not have quota, but NM does. My point here is that if, let's say, a rich person gave 100 crores to build 100 crores of X amount to build an economic institution, it is his retribution to his society. उसने बोला है कि let's give reservation to my, because I have put the money to build this organization, I have set it up, I am managing it. The government ने नहीं बोला है, the general people, you and me, उन्होंने नहीं बोला है. It is their giving back to society जिस लिए उन्होंने वो educational institutes बनाए, and why they are giving quotas. I think that is a separate topic from what this topic is, and that comes out of philanthropy and not out of need. There is very, very drastic difference between two, coming out of philanthropy and coming out of need. So again, if you go back into origins of how Vidya Vihar Somaiya mein reservations were, it is because the institution was built by some Gujarati who said ki because I have built this institution, mere caste walon ko फायदा होना चाहिए. Same story goes for SIS. Government ने नहीं बोला है, ना ही ट्रस्टियों ने बोला है, ना ही मैनेजमेंट ने बोला है, ना ही बच्चों ने बोला है. So I think that is where the difference is.
Okay, I think all these colleges are associated with the Mumbai University, so they should have a say in this. But we can always agree to disagree. And I rest my case. I don't have any follow-up questions from here on. Rutuparna, the stage is yours. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. One last question. I will read as it is, as it's sent to me, without a word, without tampering a word. We discussed that 30% general population gets 50% of the seats. Then how is it the case that there are real life examples where there are 0 seats in a particular field or general? Now, Prasham, you may answer it however you want. If you want
I'm sorry, 0 seats in the general category.
particular field or for 0 seats in a particular field for general.
Again, I think that boils down to the implementation of how reservation comes and not the entire proposition of reservation. देखो, अगर ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है, it is wrong. There is no alternative कि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. At the very least 30% तो seats जाने चाहिए. अगर वो नहीं जा रहे, that is because of some inefficiency in the system. कोई reason होगा why this is not happening. So for examples, let's say in Maharashtra they come up with Maratha reservation, वो 30% दे देंगे. So in addition to 62% वो 30% हो जाएगा तो 90% reservation हो जाएगा. That is wrong. See, understand what is right and wrong. So that is by sentiment wrong, और वो नहीं होना चाहिए. If that is happening, we are against that. So
Okay. Here we all can agree to disagree on this topic because ये topic बहुत ज़्यादा vast है for us to complete in an hour and a half or to come to a solution in an hour and a half. So yeah, this has been a very fruitful debate because I haven't learned this much about caste reservation in my life. जितना मैं आज तुम दोनों को सुन के मेरे को pros cons सब आ गया अभी. And so yeah, again, thank you very much for being a part of the first semi-final of Face of Friday conducted by Thane Youth Talent Circuit. The second semi-final will be happening on this Friday between Prasham Pratap and Shrestha Tendulkar, the topic for which is also very interesting, but it will be announced tomorrow. So yeah, please, and that will be on our Instagram live. So please join us there. And yeah, it has been a pleasure to host both of you. I really hope you guys enjoyed.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was great.
Thank you.